Welcome to another UntTECH video. This is the first video of 2019. We're back with a slightly enhanced look and feel, a lot more content, some exciting things coming up in 2019. But for today, we're going to break down some of the most common web scraping tools, which circumstances you might want to use one over another on today's first edition of UntTECH video of 2019. 2018, we saw an explosion in tools aimed at taking raw data, or structured data for that matter, from the web and turning it into other formats, mostly CSVs or Excel files, commonly known as web scraping or data scraping. There's a variety of different options to choose from. We're going to be focusing on three of the ones I like to use the most, and the ones that you'll probably see more content and more videos, tutorials talking a little bit about how to use those. But before we get into those, a couple that are noteworthy and worth checking out are these two, right? First one is called ParseHub. It's relatively free, or freemium, meaning it's free up to a point, up to a certain amount of scrapes, and then you have to pay more for it. It's this is heavy duty, guys. I've not played around with it as much as I should have, but it seems to be really ideal for scraping things like Amazon and big e-commerce sites. It is kind of point and click, right? So it does have that GUI interface, very easy to use, but also very complex in everything that it could do. It can handle clicking on various different elements. Example being, clicking on a product to get to the product description page. It can handle pagination, scrolling through various different pages. Even has some IP rotation if you're going to get banned, for hitting a web page with too much data at once. The other one, which is a close competitor, is called Octoparse, right? Very similar concept. GUI interface, great for e-commerce. They have both a free, a pro, and I believe you can even pay them and they'll set up scrapes for you if there's a site you need to scrape over and over again, like e-commerce sites and things of that nature. But for today, we're going to focus on some really free, really easy ones. Top of my list, always Instant Data Scraper. If you've listened to this channel beforehand, it's always my go-to first attempt. It's good at a couple things. One, it just captures a table, or you could select between multiple tables and we'll grab everything. So while it's not complex in the way that it can't handle clicking into links, it can handle pagination, which is really good. So it'll be my first go-to. Good example would be, let's take a look at this, this Deep Learning Summit rework, right? So here's a list of speakers. You can see there's a bunch of them here. There's also information if you click on each individual ones. There seems to be a page you can get to that has a bit of a description, has a couple social media links. But if we try Instant Data Scraper first, you'll see just by clicking on the icon on my Chrome extension browser, you'll see it's sort of pulling up everything, right? So if that's all I want, let's see what it's giving me right now. It's giving me their picture, their avatar picture. It's giving me their name, their href, which I don't think we need right now. Name, title, company, right? And it picked it up for all 62 ones on this page. So while it didn't click into each individual one, right, because there's still data on the inside we're not getting, maybe that's all I need, and then I could run it through a variety of different enrichment programs and try to get the information that way. Great, if there was another table here, I could click try another table. It'll literally go through each individual table here. And as you can see, I'm just going to make this smaller. Let's pull this over here. If I shrunk this out, you'd see it's finding other elements on this table to use, none of which we want though, right? So try another table, and eventually it scrolls back to once we started all 62 elements before. So Great program, guys. Very simplistic. It works very well on sites like data or jigsaw.com. It can work on LinkedIn, although you need to install an earlier version. Check out my last video on exactly how to do that. It does work on other social media networking sites or just anywhere where you want to grab a quick table. Program number 2 is Data Miner. Data Miner is, if you want to take a step up and you're looking to dive into some of the mechanics, maybe you want a little bit more flexibility, you can sign up for a free account on Data Miner, and it will also appear as a Chrome extension. They do have more advanced features which aren't free, which are good. I'd like to see a little bit more development on their end. I haven't seen any new features been rolled out in the past couple months. But it's great. There's even a page of tutorial videos if you want to learn how to get started and kind of get a sense on how you can write some of these recipes. Data Miner is a little bit different, as it's not a one-click solution, but gives you the ability to build recipes, right? And what's a recipe? A recipe is how it's going to scrape that site. So for example, you click on new recipe, and it gives you the ability to define whether this is a list page or a details page, and then define things like what the rows and columns should be. Navigational functions, it does have the ability to paginate, to go from next page to next page. Has some advanced options here, right? Being able to click on an element, being able to handle infinite scroll, which is where you keep scrolling down, it keeps loading more objects. And some other features built in here. Plus side, if you know JavaScript, fortunately I don't, you can do a lot of custom things on here. And it really isn't that hard. It asks you to define a row and actually gives you the ability to select specifically what you want and highlight it using the shift key to lock it in, and gives you the ability to select what those elements are, even choose some sub-elements, right? In this case, it's pretty easy that it's speaker, but then also allows you to define what you want in here. Maybe I just want, the person's name, which I'm going to define as the first one. I'm going to call that name. And you see it gets all the names there. If I want to get more, I could load up another one and say, I just want the job title. Boom, call this job title. And as you see, it's really fast and efficient. The last one I want is the company, speaker company. Hit OK. Call this company. And if that's all I want, I'm good to go. It doesn't have the ability to click on each individual one and load a separate page. That is one of the drawbacks here. So again, if I wanted to get anything that happens when I click in here, as you see, well, maybe not on this screen, but there is that information that's popping up over there. There isn't a way to do it. At one point, I thought I might be able to do it using a pre-scrape click on element, but couldn't do that. Either way, it allows you to run the recipe right after you're done with it, save it, share it with a friend, and as you can see, it sort of pulls it up, it scrapes it, and you'll see all your data coming through right over here. You could then download it as a comma separated value, as an Excel sheet, or save it into your clipboard. So that's really good. There's a ton of free recipes you could find online, and others sharing recipes all the time. Plus, they have a fairly interactive Facebook page, Data Miner user community, where you could post what you're looking for, and there's a lot of nice people in the community who will respond back and give you exactly what you're looking for. Third on the list is definitely not for the faint of heart. This is WebScraper.io. This is a personal favorite of mine. You could download it for free. They actually don't have a premium version, so it's completely and totally free. They even have a cloud version of it, and that they might charge for. But other than that, the only thing that they'll allow you to pay for is if you want to hire a data specialist to design sitemaps for you. Now, this is, like I said before, this is definitely not for the faint of heart. This does require having some understanding of how elements are brought together in various jQuery or CSS selectors, which you could see there's a ton of them really allows you to focus on specific data that you're looking for, and also has the ability to use regular expressions or regex, which is another thing I don't quite understand, but I'm getting really good at finding solutions for. But it allows you to specifically limit the type of information that you're looking for down to even pulling a small segment out from a larger string, if you will. It's one of my favorites. It actually loads up in a very uncommon sort of way. I'll actually go back to this for a second. By going into the development console, it actually will appear down here as web scraper IO. And just to show you, I've actually built a web scraper that will be able to go through each individual one of these, pulling out all that information that's hidden when you click on it. In this case, gives you a little bio, as well as a LinkedIn profile. Again, that's something that we weren't able to do on Instant Data Scraper. We weren't able to do on Data Miner, but we could do quite easily over here. And I'll give you a sense of that working in the background. It's already been built. We're not going to go over how to build it. But as you see, we've built a sort of automated script here, which is actually going to give this a bit of time to load. And it's going to scroll through each individual one, scraping all that information in real time. I find this really handy. There are very few jobs that I'm unable to get to a solution using Web Scraper IO. They do have a forum that you can go to. We'll let this run in the background for a minute. And they also have some help here, right? They have tutorials, they have documentations. They even set up a test site that is meant to mirror some of these e-commerce to test and demonstrate ability to use pagination, to use pop-ups, Ajax, load more buttons, so on and so forth. They have a pretty good forum where you could post and get answers to some of your questions. As it is right now, there's only a few people that are giving answers, myself being one of them and maybe one or two others. But there's a variety of different questions that have already been answered. Go through here, sort of reverse engineer, and get a sense on how that works. So back to it. You can see this is sort of going on and on. And we can continue to let this road. It just finished. And you can see the data has been pulled into kind of a comma-separated format, right? So we could export this into a CSV. I'm going to open this up just to show you sort of what it looks like. It's a little bit different. Not as clean as some of the others, but gives you a bunch of other information. Now, just for the sake of this, let me wrap the text, since we did get a lot of it, and expand on this outwards. So you don't need these first two, by the way. It's just some links that you don't really come in handy. So as you see, gave us a name, gave us a title, gave us a company, gave us a long bio, which is something we couldn't get before, and when available, gave us both the LinkedIn URLs and the Twitters whenever they were there. You'll see it returns a null value when it's not. So I say if there's information there, you might as well capture it. Really, really versatile. I've built 100 different scraping scripts, and you'll certainly see tutorials in the near future going over some conferences and other sites that you might want to scrape here. Now, saving the best for last, and this is quickly becoming one of my favorites, called Zap Info. There we go. Zap Info. Now, this was previously called Web Clip Drop and has been remade and optimized, and it literally keeps getting better on a day-by-day basis. Doug, who runs the company, is very good at listening to recruiters, listening to his end users, and making changes, making optimizations, and adding features in rapid time. So this is an example of freemium, right? It does have a free version that will allow you to have a certain amount of clips and or zaps, as they're calling it now. And then if you want to pay for more and pay for some of the more advanced features, it's very, very reasonable. If this is something you're going to be doing on a regular basis, I recommend it for $25 a month. It gives you basically everything you need. 100 active clips at one time, and you could always delete them and get another 100 as well. So there are way too many features for me to demonstrate in this short video, but I want to highlight one of the things that I think makes it really, really easy to use. It has a feature very much like Instant Data Scraper, but then we'll actually pull that information out and start enriching it, right? So here we are, Microsoft's Ignite speakers. There's a bunch of them here. Gives you all the basic information. I do see there's a bio, but as I look, the bio really doesn't contain that any sort of contact details. So for the moment, let's assume we don't need that, because similar to the other ones that I showed, Instant Data Scraper, similar to Data Miner, it doesn't give you the ability to click in and then scrape. That's sort of limited to webscraper.io. But it is really easy, and we could actually get it from here or by right-clicking, going to Zap Info, clip data, bulk clip capture from page, and then capture contacts from list. And what it's doing is similar to Instant Data Scraper. It's trying to identify tables, and as you see, it's identified 70 results and 30 fields, which I'm assuming is all of these. So let's assume that's what we want. Let's click confirm. Now, one thing it does, it loads up all the information and allows you to decide what you want. In this case, I want this category, which is going to be their full name. I want the title. Oh, that's not title. Let's not include that. It's a duplicate of that. This looks like title. And now we're just missing company. Let's see if we also picked up a company here. Founder and chief. Oh, it doesn't look like it got us the company. But let's go with this for right now. Full name, company. Well, actually, you know what? Let's try to reload it for a second and see why that is. Founder, okay. It looks like, and let's double check this. It looks like it's all in one line, so it's not able to distinguish between it. Let's check to see if Instant Data Scraper does it. No, same thing over there. Okay, so let's get that back up and running. Zap Info, clip data, bulk capture, capture contacts from list, finds a table, confirm. And let's tell it we just want this as full name, not first name, full name. And I believe this is actually going to contain a combination of title and companies. Let's try that on for size. And good, that's all we're going to get here. And we're going to extract it. Now, it does two things. It pulls this records in, and it's going to try to enrich this and find things like their LinkedIn profiles, right? Try to find any contact information. Now, normally you need a certain bit of information to make that happen. You usually need a location or a title. In this case, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be able to separate the title from everything, but it looks like it's starting to get them right here. And it seems like Doug has thrown in another change. That is interesting. They threw in another icon over here. As of right now, I'm not entirely sure. MS. I'm not entirely sure what that means, to be honest with you. So we'll figure it out. So as you see, it's continuing to enrich. It's now found most of their LinkedIn profiles and even some email addresses. It's about 40 to 50% accurate on those. It does find a combination of personal and private. In this case, it didn't get very many, but if we take a look into some of these, it's because it's really just got a name. It's not managed to get any more of the title, but let's see if this makes sense here. It did find a LinkedIn profile. Let's click on that for a moment and see if that matches up, if it's identified that correctly. This person's a project leader. Okay, could be. It makes sense to the conference we scraped. Let's see if we pick another one here. Jeremy Lee Flume. Let's see what it comes up with for Jenny. All right, Client Accessibility Officer at Microsoft. That seems like it works. So here's where it gets really good. You can now take this information and enrich it, right? So as long as it has a LinkedIn profile, for the sake of this conversation, let's choose the first three. Now I could do them all in one clip, but we're going to go to Get Full Profile. And it's going to say, do you want to use the LinkedIn ones? We do. And it's going to tell us how long do we want to wait. If you're doing a lot, set this like 5, 6, or 7, or else LinkedIn will detect using automation, and they'll like log you out from all sessions and maybe block you. Who knows? Throw you in LinkedIn jail. But for the sake of this video, let's see. And what it's going to do is go through each one of these and actually pull in all the LinkedIn data, right? So it's scraping the full profile, getting names, titles. We'll see it in a second. We're going to let this run for just a hot second here since I'm only doing 3. It should only take another 5 seconds. All right. Now, if we go back to those, you'll see it's now updated their company. It will start enriching them again. But let's just see. So here it's pulled all their information and a little picture over here. Judging by what it pulled, I'm guessing it didn't match this profile right. Probably because we didn't have the company name on it. But it'd be interesting to see what it gets with just that limited bit of information. From here, you could do all types of stuff. I could export it. I could create. Well, actually, I'll show you some really cool things before we end this video. You could actually do a lot here. I could search on them from LinkedIn. I could look on True People search, PPL, a lot of different enhancements. For instance, on True People search, it actually does a bit of a Boolean. But it'll then ask me, is this the right person? If it is, I could then pull this information right in. Now, I don't know if this person is the right one or not, but for the sake of this video, let's just pull it in there. Let's go back here, and that information will be updated and added to everything else that we have here, providing more contact details and information. So, oh, interesting. It's showing that it was pulled from the Microsoft site. I guess that's what MS meant. That's where the information was pulled from. So really cool there. You'll see you could do it for all the other ones as well if we wanted to. Let's see. Check on Angels List if we wanted to, but I've been really liking this True People search. Here, it didn't find anyone. But as you can see, there's a lot of quick ways to do all your research right from here. And it has some other really cool actions you can do in terms of, I can actually add this to a list, I can edit it, I can enrich it, and there is a way where I could actually extract it out, right? To a PDF, to a web link, to a clipboard, to a specific record. I really do like the PDF version. I think that's a really cool way to turn a non-resume into a resume. And here there wasn't any information on this page, but it actually builds it out. It can add your custom details. It even has a link so they could rate it. A lot of functionality that might be available elsewhere, but here it's an easier way to go about it. So that's basically it. So to do a quick review, what did we review today? Instant Data Scraper. First on my list, first on your list it should be, pulls a table, gets everything or nothing. Very little functionality past that, but a great first step. Going up from there, we have Data Miner. Data Miner requires a little bit more expertise in terms of building out sitemaps, but more customizable with JavaScript integration to be able to fine-tune some of the data you're looking for. Limitations are similar to that of Instant Data Scraper, where you can't click into another page and be able to spider, but great and also free for the most part. There's some premium sites that will block without a paid subscription. but that's really good. Taking a step up from there, you have Web Scraper IO, which does require a little bit of technical expertise, but has some great flexibility in its ability to paginate and spider throughout pages. Past there, we have Zap Info, which is amazing. A lot of functionality on the enrichment front there. So that's it. Go check it out. You'll see tons of other videos to that regard. Thanks for checking us out. I'll post links to all the information and all the tools I showed here. Remember to subscribe if you like what you're seeing. And stay tuned for another UntTECH video coming out next week. Thank you, everybody.